This is Chester Moore with Chris Metner. We're here at my friend Ken Swenson's place, and he has some beautiful, beautiful whitetails here. First time I came here, I almost passed out looking at one of the bucks, and it's just an incredible place. And what you're doing is kind of helping him take his herd to its highest potential. Correct. And it's all about genetics. And this gets very, very confusing for the layman who's not really deeply into this stuff, but wants to know about the end result. Right. So let's just take it kind of the beginning. If someone wants to get into, increasing the size of bucks in their herd, what is the first step they take?
Well, it's more than genetics. We deal with, nutrition and all that. Whenever you're looking at genetics, the first thing to do is, if you're breeding for a ranch, decide what characteristics you like and chase those traits. You want to purchase animals that carry those characteristics.
Is it passed on, that measurably?
No. Well, you really have to study the pedigrees to understand how they're passed on and how well they're passed on. What it is, if there's DNA documents that show a true pedigree, and you can spend time studying those pedigrees to understand what is and what these animals are not passing on, and selectively breed in that fashion.
Yeah, it's really interesting now, because we were talking before we started rolling the camera. Some people want the big, wide racks. They want the tall racks. Right. People like me would want a genetic freak with something hanging off everywhere. Right. So you have all these different kinds of traits, and now through this selective breeding, you're able to produce these on demand.
That's
almost.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, what's interesting to me is the doe factor. Right. Where does the doe fit in terms of your genetics?
It's very debatable as to how much percentage of doe affects the animal. The simple fact to me is it's hard to figure out in your breeder herd who are the top end does, who's throwing well. It takes years of them all, their offspring producing, and to see who they are. So that to me is the thing you study the hardest. And even in their pedigrees, the mamas that are throwing real well, you want those stacked in your pedigree. So.
Now, when I've been to places like this, I notice a deer obviously a lot bigger than your average whitetail in Texas roaming the wild. Right. However, is this a thing that's genetic, or is it nutrition, or both? Both. Both.
And what you'll see, even some of the old Texas genetics, northern deer were influenced back in the day. They may say it's 100% Texas genetics. More than likely, there were some northern at one time introduced. So with that, and the nutrition is outrageous for them. So it's both. Well,
the northern deer are huge. Anything you go north, you have larger bodied animals. You tend to have, and there's some pretty large racks up there as well. Right. So I know that the people are all high on Kansas genetics and Iowa and those areas like that. But and you'll see deer in Texas now. Look, I don't look like the one I typically see in Texas.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, but also, whenever you're producing larger and larger antlers, when those antlers are calcifying, they're pulling from their bone structure. So that's something. If you're say you're looking for big freaks and you're chasing for inches, eventually you're going to have to take into consideration their bone structure and how large the animal actually is.
So the frame will actually match more.
Right, right, because their body cannot, if you have a very small body deer, and you'll see small body deer with big racks, but when you start getting up to the 400-inch range, well, then you're looking at, okay, when that antler starts calcifying, is it going to affect its bone structure? Is it going to be able to support this?
Now, you said 400-inch range. We're not talking about moose. We're talking about whitetails, right?
Right.
Okay.